And welcome back to another episode of Tween Book Bites here at the Scott County Public Library in Georgetown, Kentucky. As always, I am Kelly, and staring at me out of the corner of my eye here is Mary Lou. I could just see. It was appropriately creepy.
Well, it's just I'm Southern, and I've always been taught you should look at people when they're talking rather than look away. So, sorry, I didn't creep you out.
No, it's okay. It's just more intense than normal.
It's the spider. It's creeping you out. See. Do you want to start over again? Sorry.
No, that's okay. I like that. That's funny.
Okay.
Okay, we're going.
We're going.
Creepy books today. Should I say? Yeah, it's appropriate. Got our little skeleton dude riding the flamingos today. And you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I think yours is on top.
Okay.
This is the time of year though for reading.
It's creepy books. Yeah.
We got them for you.
Halloween. Yeah.
Delicious.
I have 3 today, and as you know, has been usual, I did not finish one of them. I did finish the other 2 though, so I'm getting better.
She's in school. That's why she doesn't finish them. That is an excellent excuse.
Also, I went to a concert this weekend, so that was more the reason. But excellent costuming. So my first book, Midnight on Strange Street by K.E. Ormsby, who is from Kentucky, I found out. I read another one of her books, and then I was like, this was amazing. And then I looked into her, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's from Kentucky. Mostly because it was a graphic novel, and it started out where she was like, oh yes, my homeschool co-op, the Bluegrass Homeschool Co-op, and I was like, she must be from Kentucky, and yes, she grew up in Lexington.
What was her first book?
That wasn't her first book. It was just the one I was reading. It's called Growing Pangs. It's a graphic novel. It's great. Highly suggest. Read it after we did our book bites on Kentucky authors, or else I would have included it 100%.
Indeed.
But it made me read this. Yay. 13 years. We've got a prologue going on here. 13 years before our story starts, on Cedar Lane, there just appears this blue flame floating in the middle of the air. Nobody really knows what's going on, but it's, of course, the talk of the town for the whole 1 hour that it's there, and then all of a sudden the girl's like, oh my gosh, it's gone! And it disappeared just as suddenly as it appeared. And so, slowly, it ends up being like urban legend. There we go. Yeah. Because obviously that can't happen. That's not a real thing. Nobody believes it. But another weird little bit is that slowly, like within, I think it said within a few weeks, every person on that street moves out, and new people keep moving in and out, and nobody stays for very long on Cedar Lane after the mysterious blue flame appears. But again, fast forward 13 years. We've got our main character's Avery. She just moved in about a year and something ago. And her neighbors on either side, Danny, who's been on Cedar Lane for quite a while, and on the other side, Bastion and Lola, the twins, and together they are all a glow boarding team called the Sardines. Yes.
What's glow boarding?
Glow boarding, yes. So, on the cover, it's approximately skateboarding, except they're hoverboards, and they run on what is called Component G, except nobody in this town calls it Component G, they just call it Glow. And the town, where I wrote it down, Callaway, Texas, is the only place in the United States, well, not the only place in the United States, but it's like the biggest place in the world that you can get Component G. It's like an ore, or like a...
Now, is this real, or is this...
No.
Okay, I didn't know.
No, this is all fantasy, Mary.
Okay.
Not real. Yes, but when they first found it, they tested it, and it wasn't good for war or anything, and so they were like, whatever. They just kind of the government kind of wrote it off. They didn't care enough, but it was the first place in the world that it appeared, and is still the biggest area where you can get it. There is also a global war going on. It's all kind of sus, honestly. Bastion and Lola's older brother, Nando, their mother is from Spain, and so they all have Spanish names. His name is actually Sebastian. And then Fernando, their older brother, he's like much older. He has graduated college. He is now working in DC and for the government, something very top secret. He can't ever talk about it. It's like it's super sus. So Avery's been on the street now for like a year and a half, and they've got the Sardines, their globe boarding team, and there are different globe boarding activities, like in swimming, where you've got like the freestyle, the different levels, but there's only one that they can actively compete in because of how young they are, and so they do this, and they know that they've got to beat the bully's time, and Danny is like the lead. She's the team captain, and they've got this time. They can beat it. They've beaten it before in practice, and she's like, okay, Bastion, time, like whip it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like downhill roller derby, and so she's like, yeah, go. And he's supposed to like whip Avery around, and she's supposed to go across the finish line alone. But she says it in his head, and he just like freaks out, and totally they flub it. They don't win. They come in fourth. And so Danny's angry. She's like, why did you flub it so bad? Come on now, I gave you the hand signal. But then he's freaking out, and then other things happen, and it comes out, oh my gosh, all four of them, and they all have telekinetic powers. Yeah, and then suddenly they're all awoken at midnight. Midnight on Strange Street. Strange Street is the is like a local nickname for Cedar Lane because of weird stuff. The blue flame, like that's just weird, so they call it Strange Street. And at midnight, they all get awoken and led to their like little hideout where they are contacted by aliens.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the aliens are like, yeah, we came like a while ago and like gave you some powers or whatever, and man, your world really sucks. So like, we're gonna come save you like at this time, and then like eradicate the rest of the world. And they're like, but like the message starts to like fizzle out, like they've got a bad connection.
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. It just fizzles. So they don't hear like they know there's a time, they know there's a place, they know it's general things, but they're like, we don't actually know what. You're gonna eradicate the whole world? That's not great.
Not good.
So they're struggling with these crazy new powers and weird things and aliens apparently. But also globe boarding, because they're like, that's a thing we can do that we all know how to do. We can just focus on it and, I don't know, explore our powers, but like, what are these powers? I don't know. Yeah, so, crazy. Very mysterious with all the brother working for the sus government situation, and yeah, one of the authors on the front cover says, action-packed and full of heart, fans of Stranger Things will love this story. As someone who, probably one of the few people in the world who hasn't seen Stranger Things, I can't say that, I can't speak to that, but from what I know of it, I feel like, yes, if you like Stranger Things, this is like the appropriate, creepy, you will enjoy this.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It's so much fun.
It's good.
All right.
So the first one, I've got two that are very new. In fact, I took this book home as soon as I processed it and put it on the shelf. And it is called Goblin Market.
That's a gorgeous cover.
It's a beautiful cover, and that's why I bought the book, because I really like the cover. And it's written by Diane Zoller. And this is kind of a cross between romance and horror.
Ooh.
Yes. And it takes place, it hints at Russia or somewhere in that part of the world, and there's some old Russian folklore that is part of the story. But we have two sisters that live together with their parents. Minka is the older of the two. She's probably about 15 or 16 years old. She's very artistic. She loves to paint. She is renowned in her village for her beauty, and she has luxuriously beautiful, long, blonde hair. All boys are kind of in love with her because she's so beautiful. She's very kind too. Got a sweet personality. And then she has a younger sister named Lizzie, they never really tell us how old she is. I'm thinking maybe 13, 14 years old, something like that. And both of them work very hard on their parents' farm. It's a prosperous farm in their community. and that becomes important kind of as to how some of the people in the community treat them. But Lizzie, in this story, they don't identify it as such, but you can tell that she is not what we call neurotypical. She doesn't like to be touched. She doesn't kind of like being around people. She's very shy. She can see color. She can sounds are colored for her. Sounds are colored. When you speak, she sees a color. So every person, when they speak, kind of has a color. And she's very wary when she encounters people that do not have color when they speak. So there's like an essence of each person that has color that she can see, and that, again, becomes important later on. But anyway, Lizzie very much likes to keep to herself. Minka's fantasy for her future is that she will become an artist. Lizzie's fantasy for her future is she will stay on her parents' farm and live with her sister Minka, and they'll farm together until they die. Kind of not a lot of expectation of change, and that's how she likes things, not changing. So each week the family sends a cart of vegetables and bread to sell at the village market. And Minka is the one who goes. She always asks Lizzie to go with her, and Lizzie always says, no, I can't be around all those people. So it's always just Minka that goes by herself. But Minka is a very good salesperson. She always sells everything that's on the cart. Well, one day Minka comes back from the village, from the market, and she's very excited. She's met a young man. His name is Emil. And they have flirted and talked. And he sells fruit, and he gave her a bunch of plums. And in fact, when she comes home, what you notice about her, she's got plum juice all over her face and all down the front of her dress. And later, she confesses to to Lizzie, that he asked for a lock of her hair, which she gave to him. She goes back again next week, and by this time, he's talking about marrying her. And his family's very wealthy, and they've got this beautiful home. He's going to marry her and take her to his home. And all she will have to do in life is paint. She can realize her dream. He'll create a studio for her. She is so excited. And also, again, covered in fruit juice. Lizzie knows this does not sound good at all. And in fact, by the next week, things have started to happen. She's gotten sick and very weak. And also her beautiful hair is sort of falling out. All she's got left is just like coming out in sheets. It's just a little bit of fluff on her head. There is a legend that there are these creatures, and the word is Russian, I'm not going to pretend to pronounce it, that live in the woods and they kidnap children and take them away and they disappear. And it's just folklore, right? But there are several girls in neighboring villages, teenage girls, that have gotten sick and withered away and died, not unlike the way that Minka's looking right now. So Lizzie has to get completely outside of her comfort zone and go to the village next week with the cart of produce to sell, but also to see if she can find this guy and figure out what's going on.
Dude, my sister.
And it is not. It's not good.
I'm going to assume maybe he's a goblin based on the title?
Maybe.
No, okay.
Maybe. It's not good.
No.
And but this is an adventure story too. It's a horror story. It's adventure fairy tale. And Lizzie is the main character. She's trying to save her sister.
That sounds very exciting.
It is good. It is good.
All right.
It's like a fairy tale gone bad.
So like an original fairy tale. I am actually going to jump to this one because of what you were reading about. This one is called Ghoster Heights by, it's a graphic novel. It has many people involved. We're talking Corey Lansdale, Kelly Mellings, Lisa LaRose, and Becca Carey. And I switched to this one instead of the one that was next in the pile because our main character here, Anna, or maybe Una, O-N-A, uncertain. She and her father are just moving in with her Ukrainian papa.
Okay.
Yeah. So the creators are all Canadian. It's set in Canada, which is very common because Canada actually cares about the arts, and they will pay people to create art, and so they don't have to worry about like healthcare and stuff. I digress. So they are moving in. You can tell something has happened with her mom. Not really quite sure what's going on there. Dad's clearly upset. She's not happy. But her baba is like the best thing ever. Oh my gosh. Love this woman. She has like a bajillion what she calls bad cats. And she's like, just let the bad cats out. They'll come back. Where else are they gonna get all this good food? And she's making pierogies all the time, and it's just delightful. But she gets there, she gets her stuff out, just slowly moving into the room, and she's got like this like digital like a digipet or like a gigapet, digipet, Tomo, like a. Well, but it's the little keychain ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not like a robotic animal, but like a gigapet is one thing. I don't think they make those anymore. the whatever. Anyway, Tamagotchi. That's the one. And I think those will come back soon. Maybe you know what those are. Anyway, little digital pet in a little like egg-shaped computer thing, and her baba is always like, "Put the computer away. Go play outside." And she's like, "Baba, this isn't a computer." And she's like, it beeps and boops, whatever, I don't care. How am I supposed to tell the difference? Go outside, go play. And so she does, eventually. They live in a complex called Goisher Heights, aka, which is why they're like, it's haunted. So it is generally called Ghoster Heights. What do you know? She goes out, and there's this one kid that is he's a little bit of a bully, and so he's teasing her, and she runs after some of the bad cats and ends up in the boiler room and turns around, and holy bejeebies, there's a ghost. Scares the crap out of her, but then starts to communicate with her through the little digital pet, and it's great. And then there's this crazy, like, super evil looking ghost that's like one of those ghosts that's got, like, you can sort of see the skeleton situation going on. It's super creepy, like evil and green and not good. Scares away her little friend ghost that she has named Haunty. And in searching for Haunty, her baba's like, okay, we've got this neighborhood rummage sale that we're gonna do for charity. I need you to go around to all our neighbors. You're gonna meet people this way. It's gonna be great. You're gonna meet people and you're gonna ask them for donations. It's all for charity. Just go around. And she slowly realizes that everybody in the building like has a ghost. And I don't mean like they're haunted. I mean like literally like it is them. They also have a ghost persona. And she's trying to figure out what is causing this and if she can help fix them. And also, where is Haunty, her little ghost friend that ran away when there was an evil ghost? And what's up with that evil ghost? And it's real cute, but also a little creepy. Like, ooh, I don't have a ghost. So, and you find out a little bit more about what happened with her and her mom, and it's really good. If you have read, yes, Sheets for Delicates by Brenna Thumler. This is gonna be your jam.
All right. Done?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So my next one is called The Black Slide, and it was written by J.W. Ocker or Oker, I'm not sure. O-C-K-E-R. I would say this book is not for everyone. This book is really scary, and it's very dark. It is a very dark book. It is kind of unrelentingly dark. But, it's hard to put down once you start it. You're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here? So this is, our main character here is a boy named Griffin. He's in the 5th grade. And Griffin, part of what makes this book so dark is his life is pretty dark. He's awkward, he's not he's kind of skinny and physically awkward and socially awkward, kind of keeps to himself. His parents are separated, but his father, well, you'll find out as the story goes along just how abusive he is, and his mother is kind of weak, like she won't protect him or get this man out of their lives. He's also bullied at school. A lot of the kids pick on him, they're pretty mean to him. And even his teacher is sort of a bully. She's not nice to anybody. Not particularly, not to pick on Griffin. She's not like anybody. She has one friend, and of course, they say that's what you need. You need to have one friend, and her name is Layla. And Layla is more popular. She's very athletic. The worst time of the day for Griffin is recess, because that's when the kids pick on him, and there's no teacher out there watching or protecting. And
What?
well, I know that's the part that got a little bit too dark to me. Like, there's no grown-ups in this book that show any sense of responsibility or protectiveness towards kids. But like the bullies will kind of put him under. They have that kind of the dome that you climb with the bars, and they'll put him in there and trap him in there and won't let him get out. And they're just really mean to him. But Layla, if she sees, she'll be over playing kickball with her friends, and if she sees anything happening to me, she comes over there and she pushes it, because she's not afraid to stand up to him. Anyway, that's just sort of the setup of the story. So one day, Griffin, who was always bored in class, he's always, their classroom has a window that looks out over the playground, and he's looking at the playground, and he notices there's a new slide on the playground. It's not the old slide, and it's huge. It's this big, huge, and it's black slide. It's the title of the book. And when they go out at recess, and he gets in trouble, the teacher, Mrs. Pitts, always says that they're Mrs. Pitts, I'm going to stick you to the whiteboard. That's her threat. And what she'll do, if you're not paying attention, she makes you push your desk right up to the whiteboard, and all you do is face the whiteboard. And Griffin, I'm gonna pin you to the whiteboard. I'm gonna stick you to the whiteboard. If you don't look out the window. So when they go outside, here's that new slide. And the bully kids are like, oh, scared. Well, go down the slide. Come on, you scaredy cat.
Yeah.
So Griffin, much to his own surprise, because he is kind of a scaredy cat, says, I'll go down the darn slide. And he goes up there and he goes down the slide. Well, when he gets in the slide, he realizes the minute he lets go that this was a mistake.
Oops. Oh no.
And he's like flying through space, and he can't find anything to hold on to. So he's flying and flying and flying, and then finally he hits like a wall, but he doesn't stop going down. He's bouncing around like he's in a rock tumbler, and he feels searing pain. And it's so bad, he's throwing up. And then when he stops throwing up, he opens his eyes. He's landed in the mulch at the foot of the slide. He's back in the playground. But both bones in his arm are broken. It was really bad. The next day, he comes back to school, and he notices he just can't stop looking. He dreams about the slide. And Layla tells him at the way to school, she dreamed about the slide too. He looks out the window, and there's this other kid, another fifth grader, but different class, is out there wandering around the slide. And Griffin watches while this child climbs up the stairs, goes into the slide, and never comes back out again. Right? Okay. And the next day at school, that kid's not at school, and in fact, half their class is missing, including all the bullies. After school that day, Layla says, I'm going up through that. He's finally told her what happened, and he didn't tell anybody what happened in the slide. But now he tells Layla, look, I saw this kid go and he didn't come out, and this is what happened to me. And Layla is kind of a scientist, like she wants to be an astronomer. And she doesn't disbelieve him because she trusts Griffin, but her scientific mind, like,
Let's
okay,
prove this.
I need to prove it. So she goes up, and she is going to go up in the slide, but I left out something. Griffin had seen her talking to the slide before he came out to tell her to stay away from it. And she says, look, you have to meet my friend Gutter, who will tell you that the slide is fine. And then this creature comes out from behind the slide. It's really terrifying looking. And he tells Griffin to stay away from the slide. Layla's going to go with the slide. She's not going through that slide alone. I'm going with her. And she says, no, you can't go. One person can go at a time. But he runs up the slide, and he goes, and they go, and they do not land back on the playground. And it's a nightmare what happens to them. It is a bad place. In fact, it's called The Painful Place.
Oh
Just
my.
leave it at that. This is a dark book. Do not read this book if you do not like dark books. But if you like Stephen King type horror, have at it. You will really enjoy it.
I'm sure all of these tweens have read Stephen King.
Some of them probably
Well,
have,
yeah, it's
you
true.
know.
He does write at a 5th grade level.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's dark. It's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My last one is one that I don't have a lot to say about because it is short stories. It is another graphic novel. It is Dead Man Tells the Spooky Tales by, and I quote, Franco and a few of his fiendish friends.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. Okay. So this, of course, is Dead Man. He's a classic DC character. Well, I can't say hero, I don't think.
Anti-hero?
I think yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean the title says it all. It's him telling the spooky tales. So we start off and we re-meet or meet Dead Man for the first time. Let me pull it up. It's
Those are all
like
creepy pictures.
it's so creepy.
Ooh.
It's so creepy. So he's like, no, don't read this if you don't want to be creeped out. If you want like the spooky stuff, I'm gonna tell you funny things and scary and horror. It's if that's your thing, keep going, okay? And so in between every story, he kind of adds his little his commentary and pulls it towards the next story. And some of them are like super ghosty, creepy, and some of them it's like, oh, that's just outside the realm of realistic, like so close that it makes it even scarier. Yeah. So some of them are like super short, like 4-page short stories. So like there's only so much I can say about short stories without just straight up ruining them.
Yeah.
But there's one about a sea captain. And there's one about some hands. Oh, there's one that's super cute. Like the art style is just adorable. But there are like multiplying cats, and it's not great. I mean it is, but it's creepy. And just all sorts of little tidbits and fun things. And
That sounds like
if you like things that are like, if you have read or watched Just Beyond, the R.L. Stine graphic novels or Disney Plus show, this I think is going to be right up your alley.
So this book was very plot driven, very action. This book was very plot driven. There's not a lot of character development, but the story just kind of propels you right through the book. This book is my favorite, and that's why I saved it for last, because this book is also plot driven, but also the character development and the world building in it is just really, really good. I just thought everything about this book was so very good. It's called The Night Books, and it's written by J.A. White. And one of the reasons I wanted to do it is because there's a sequel that just came out. It's on our new bookshelf. That's called, I can't remember, something books 2. I forget. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, it's a sequel to this book where you go back into this same world. So Alex is he's a middle school kid who feels very odd. He does not like to play video games. He doesn't like sports. His passion is writing horror stories. He loves to write horror stories. And in fact, I will tell you, if you're a kid that likes to write, you'll like this book too, because he talks about the process of writing in his book, and I'll go into that in just a little bit. I don't know in a minute. And you just feel, like when you're a little kid and you're really into monsters, and like when you decorate your notebook and you put stickers of monsters and stuff, that's really cool when you're a little kid. But when you're middle school, people just think you're a freak, and everybody's just treating him like a freak because and he wonders what's wrong with him that he's so obsessed with ghosts and death and horror. He thinks, gosh, am I a sociopath? Am I growing up to be a serial killer? He's so freaked out by it. He decides that and he writes that all the spare time he's writing. And he has these notebooks that he writes, and he calls it his night books, which is where the title came from. he's decided this is just too weird. I'm gonna start being a normal middle school kid. I'm gonna burn my night books. He lives in New York City in an apartment, and he lives on the 8th floor of the apartment building, and he's going down to the basement. A lot of apartment buildings, old apartment buildings in New York have boilers where they heat water that goes up through your radiators. Your apartment stays just toasty warm from it. It's wonderful. Oh, yeah, I know you would. I love it. When I lived in New York, I loved it. But he's going down to the basement, and he's going to burn his night books. Only the elevator just kind of mysteriously stops on the 4th floor on his way down. And the door opens. And he hears, coming from an apartment, he can hear a movie playing behind the door, and it's his favorite movie. It's the Night of the Living Dead. Oh my gosh. So he kind of steps out of the elevator, walks over, and he cannot resist knocking on the door to see, like, who's watching this movie. And the door opens, and this very strange-looking young woman with spiky hair and too much makeup, and she invites him in, and he goes in. And she goes, "What made you come here?" He said, "Oh, I heard the movie, The Night of the Living Dead." And she goes, "Oh." And so he turns around to leave, but then he smells pumpkin pie cooking. He loves pumpkin pie. And he just can't resist following his nose into the kitchen. And once he gets all the way in, she slams the door shut and grabs him like he's going, "Oh, I gotta go." Oh, he's like, "Yeah, I'm getting out of here." But her grip is like iron. And she throws him into a bedroom, and he kind of passes out. Now, when he wakes the next morning, he's in this room by himself, and there's a door, and he opens the door, and on the other side of the door is a mirror image of the same room that he's in. And he goes into it, and he just looks, and there's the mirror, and it's like he's entered into another dimension. And he starts screaming. He cries, he screams, and finally this woman, this witch, comes in and says, "Kiddo, I'm a witch, and you ain't here to play checkers." Not good. And she leaves, and he's freaking out, and he hears this voice at the door, a girl. "She likes stories." And then that voice disappears. So what you've got here is a combination of Hansel and Gretel and Scheherazade. Because indeed the witch does like stories. And she knew that he was a story writer, a writer of stories. I can't remember if she finds out that he's a writer of stories. But as long as he keeps telling her horror stories every night, she'll let him live. And the girl who, Yasmin is her name, and she's not very nice, because she's been there a while. And but eventually they figure out how to work together. But this book, oh my gosh, I just loved it. The story is so good, and I loved both of the characters. Yasmin is just, they're both fantastic, and even the witch. And the witch kind of makes you laugh sometimes. Like you ain't here to play checkers, kid. Anyway, Night Books by J.A. White. It is just fantastic. It's not overly scary. It's not like on the level of this, but it is creepy. And you just don't know how they're going to get in there. You just don't know how they're going to get in there. Because there's no doors, my friend. There's no doors.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
All right.
Those are my books.
Nice.
Good stuff. Oh, my gosh. Goblin Market, Black Slide, none of those.
Well, I hope you all have a happy Halloween.
Yes,
Enjoy
happy Halloween.
some spooky books.
Happy horror reading.
Yes. And we will see you next month for, I believe, some Cold War.
We're going to do historical fiction. We haven't done in a while. We're going to do Cold War stories. It seems relevant with what's going on with the war between Russia and Ukraine, and kind of the way that Russia's heading more back towards a Cold War stance again. So it seems very relevant. It is good to revisit that stuff.
So, we will see you then. Enjoy.